assertions one can make. Say, تَكَادُ السَّمَاوَاتُ يَتَفَطَّرْنَ مِنْهُ. It is the skies are ready to burst. وَتَنْشَقَّ الْأَرْضُ. And the earth to split asunder. وَتَخِرُّ الْجِبَالُ حَدًّا. And the mountains to fall down in utter ruin. Such a horrible swearing they're giving Allah. This is it. Father and son relationship. Such a horrible swearing. That if the heavens had a feeling like you, emotions like you, the heavens would have fallen. And the earth would have split asunder and the mountains fall down in utter ruin. But nothing happens to the Muslims. Nothing. You know, it's an amazing situation that Allah Ta'ala reacts in the strongest language that you can imagine. That if you want to swear me, if you want to abuse me, you can't abuse me anything worse than this, to say that I begot a son. Allah begot a son, because begetting is an animal act. It belongs to the lower animal functions of sex. I'm asking the Englishman again and again. When I read his catechism, an Anglican, Christian, he said, excuse me sir, tell me now, when you say beget, begotten son, begotten, not made, what are you trying to emphasize? Will you please explain? What are you really trying to tell me? And believe me, in 40 years, no Englishman worth his salt ever opened his mouth. No Englishman. It had to be an American. It was in a mosque. I was talking to him. I happen to be one of the guides in the largest mosque in the southern hemisphere, which is in Durban. I do a job of work, you know, where we have, last year we handled more than 12,000 tourists. And we don't just entertain them, allow them to see the sights. And so this marble came from where? From Spain. And the chandeliers came from Turkey. And the terrazzo work and the carpet came from Persia. And the teak came from Burma. Dead things you're talking about. These people that come to our masjids, they want to know you, what you stand for, not these dead things. Because perhaps they have better dead things than these in their own home. But this is the usual practice. You go to the Blue Mosque, you go to the Muhammadan Mosque in Egypt, well, the mosque in Washington, D.C., I've been there, and I see the same procedure. You know, where the marble came from, and the terrazzo came from, and the carpet came from, and the Turks did this, and rubbish, garbage. The Americans is garbage, all garbage. So I do a job of work. And in this, I talk to people, ask them questions, they ask me questions. So it happened to be an American. I was telling him, I said, look, speaking English, that's his also mother tongue, English. He's American, but he speaks English. So I said, will you tell me, when you say begotten, not made, what are you trying to emphasize? What are you trying to tell me? He said, it means, I said, what does it mean? He said, it means sired by God. Sired by God. That is the word they use in animal husbandry, you know, the type of thing they do, you know, artificial insemination and the natural processes. They said this horse was sired by that one, and that was his father, and he was sired by that one, and sired by that one. It's an animal term used in animal husbandry. I said, what? Where is it sired by? So what? He said, no, I'm only telling you what it means. I didn't say that that is what happened. You see? This is what it is. It's a beautiful way for you to start with your fellow countrymen. You know, when they talk about Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son, begotten, not made, because God had many sons, but those are metaphorical. See, Adam was created by God. He was not begotten. Jesus was begotten, not made. So you ask him very nicely. He says, look, we are people from the East. Maybe you are second or third generation English, British, yeah? But most of us I see are first generation people coming, and that language also betrays some bit of Pakistan or some bit of Bangladesh and some bit of Hindustan in their tongue when they speak English. It betrays to me, it says, look, where you come from, I know where you come from. You see? So for you it's so nice, so humble, in all humility. You said, sir, will you please explain? When you say begotten, not made, what are you trying to tell me? I don't understand. Will you please make it easy for me? And wallah, no Englishman will ever open his mouth. That is the best way of teaching him. The fallacy of what he's telling you. Ask him, simple question, humble question. Please explain to me what is to beget in your language. When you say begotten, not made, what are you trying to tell me? Now, this is the main reason why in Islam we say you approach Allah as an abd, as a servant, as a slave. And the slave of God is a free man. He is a free man. This idea of father and sonship, we know what it has done to the mentality of people. That familiarity they want to create with God, and what that familiarity has done to them. See, the example is there before you. In America, you see it. You see it here in Hyde Park. When I was here, I saw it on TV. 8,000 gays in London's Hyde Park advertising the way. Last June, in San Francisco, not this June, the previous June, 300,000 sodomites, which you call them gays, they gathered in San Francisco on a pilgrimage led by 50 lesbians on motorcycles. This is the type of attitude you have towards God. You know, he's like a friend to you, like your bosom pal. You know, you can behave anyhow you like with him. That awe, respect, reverence is gone. So, when you think like that, you behave like that. Then now people generally ask, all these things, how do you get to all these sort of things? Which school, which university, which Darul Uloom you went to? Wallah, I went to no university, I went to no Darul Uloom. How does all these things come about? So that you see, I left school at the age of 16. I passed what is called Standard 6. And I was working in a country shop, some 25 miles outside Durban, a country shop in the country. And across the valley from where the shop was an American mission called Adams Mission Station. It was an American board mission, Amanzim Toti, on the south coast. At this mission, the missionaries were being trained in comparative religion. And whatever they learned, they practiced on us in the shop. You see, I was a salesman selling sugar and salt, handkerchief, rice, things like that, little things. And all the other staff were like myself, all schoolboys, just left school. Cheap labor, you see. So we were there, and these missionaries, they come along, and they knock heads into us. The guy comes along, he says, he's buying his things, but he says, Muhammad has so many wives. I know nothing about that. Really, I knew nothing about that. He says, Muhammad, he copied his book, the Quran, from the Jews and the Christians. I know nothing about that. He says, Islam was spread at the point of the sword. I know nothing about that. The only knowledge I had about Islam, as well as my companions, was that we read the Kalima. If I ever met any one of you then, and you say you're a Muslim, I say, can you read the Kalima? He said, yes. I said, come on, read. So he said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. I said, right. Pass. That's how I passed, and I passed everybody. You read the Kalima, you're Muslim. What that meant, I didn't know. Wallah, I didn't know. I read it, that's a formula, magic formula, I'm a Muslim. I knew the way my father prayed, I prayed, the way he made wudu, I made wudu, the way he fasted, I fasted. I knew all that. But what about Islam? I knew nothing. What should I like to? And this is my people. This is what we were. We knew nothing. We were Muslims, we read the Kalima. So these people are making life miserable for us. They didn't know that they were creating a monster for themselves. That they didn't know. If they only knew, they'd regret the day. Say, why did we touch this guy? Should have left him alone. So, still time. Take your time. So what to do? Leave the job and run away? Or fight back? Now you can't fight back if you have no weapons. And jobs are hard to find. After high school, I was getting £6 a month, my wages. But at the end of the month, I didn't get the wages. I had to work another whole month to get the previous month's wages. That's how bad it was. What to do? So you great. What to do? Run away. But there's no way out. But I had a hunger for reading anything, everything, any rubbish will do. Read. It's a sickness. I had a sickness for reading. So one Sunday, nothing to do, I go into the boss's warehouse and rummaging through a pile of newspapers. I'm looking for some more readily, some nice reading material, like a magazine. We had something like the Farmer's Weekly, we had the Outspan, Personality. I'm looking for anything like that in the pile of newspapers. So I'm going through, putting the newspapers one side. If I find something, I put the other side. I said, this I'll take it into my room and read them. And going through. And Allah is Musabbibul Asbab. He is the creator of opportunities. See how he does it. How Lenin found that book. Lenin, Karl Marx, Das Kapital. He was in prison and he read it. And he came out, he implemented it. One man. And today, 200 million, 1,000 million communists. Because one man read the book. This is what the potentiality of a book. This, I find a book, a worm-eaten book. Red cover, full of mildew. I take it up and start to sneeze. The book, it says, Izharul Haq. Izharul Haq. Izharul Haq. This sounds like Muslim. Izharul Haq. I have no knowledge about these things. Izharul Haq. Izharul Haq. It doesn't sound English, does it? No, to my mind, it is Izharul. Izharul Haq. What is Izharul Haq? So I see in bracket, in small writing, it says the truth revealed. It says maybe that means this. Let's see. So I open the book. And it is a book about the British conquest of India. My country. That when the British conquered my country, they realized that at any time, anybody that will give them trouble in their country will be the Muslims. Because power, rule, dominion was wrenched out of their hands, and once you have tasted power and rule, you want to aspire for it once more. So if we can convert the Muslims, they reasoned, if we teach them to turn the other cheek, we can rule them for 1,000 years peacefully. The Hindus were as docile as the cows that they worship at that time. No problem. So they started pouring in the missionaries into India like frogs in the rainy season. Do you have frogs here? In the rainy season? We have them. Like frogs in the rainy season. And they started challenging the Muslims to public debates. At first the Muslims were reluctant. You know, these are our rulers, and if we talk too much, if we argue too hard, they might send us to Kalapani, those black waters in the Andaman Islands. Who wants to go there? So keep out of it. Keep out of trouble. And we have been emasculated too, to quite a great extent. The Muslims. You know, even now you find them all over the world, the Muslims. They're spiritless people, emasculated people, like castrated people. We're waiting for it to be slaughtered. This is the spirit of the Muslim. Any little thing the Muslim does, the Muslim gets terrified. I took out the pamphlet about the Pope and the Muslim gets terrified. Muslim, not the Christian, the Muslim gets terrified. Something has gone wrong with us. But that militancy has gone out of us. So it says, emasculate the Muslim, teach them to turn the other cheek, problem is solved. So now they come into India challenging the Muslims, and the Muslims don't want to debate, so they master our language. So in your language. First the excuse was that we don't know English. So right, it's in your language. And this is the beauty, the greatness of the Westerner. Wherever he goes, he learns the language of the native. Within 3 months, he masters your language and he speaks to you in your language. The Muslim hasn't got that. He comes to South Africa, to Natal, he learns Zulu in 3 months. He speaks to the Zulu in Zulu. He goes to Indonesia, he learns Indonesian. He goes to Arab countries, he learns Arabic. Wherever he goes, he masters your language. You go into somebody foreign country, in 50 years you don't learn his language. And I think an Arab saying goes, "Man ta'allama lughata qawmin amana sharrahum." If you learn the language of a people, you will be able to avoid their vials, save yourself from their machinations. I'm able to do that to a great extent now. See? Born in India as a Britisher over 60 years ago, British subject. I have a British passport. When I was 9 years old, I know how many of you are Britishers for more than 60 years. I am. Not having seen an Englishman in my life, up to the age of 9, I go to South Africa, and now I'm coming to the hub of the British metropolis and speak to him in his language and tell him, "Now come sir, talk to him, reason with me in his language." And he can't get away with it because I understand his language, what he's talking about. So I can ask him, "Excuse me sir, will you please explain what is to beget in your language, because I know what it means. I want you to tell me, I want you to open your mouth." So, mastered our language and challenged the Muslims to public debates. Now, the Muslims had no excuse. The young men tell the elders, they said, look, Saab, ये तो हमारी ज़बान के अंदर हमारे साथ बहस करने मांगता है. This guy wants to debate with us in our language. How can we say no now? So Maulana Abdul Aziz of Delhi, he was forced to take up the challenge. And there was a reverend founder from England who was taking a lead in that debate expedition. And according to the appointed time and date, the debate starts. And I'm told in the book, I'm reading this in the book, that 100,000 people gathered at that great meeting. I don't know how voice was carried those days. But somehow the people loved it, they enjoyed it. Even if they didn't hear, they could see what's going on in the distance. 100,000 people gathered. And the Reverend began, Reverend Paul. So he began by requesting the Maulana. He said, Maulana Sahib, respected learned man, please get started. So the Maulana Sahib reads, he says, you are our elder brother. Christianity precedes Islam by 600 years. As such, you are our elder brother, and according to our culture, you have the first choice. Secondly, you are our guest. No doubt an unwelcome guest, but a guest at that. So as such, according to our culture, you have the first preference. So the Reverend was forced to begin. And he began with a question. He says, Maulana Sahib, in Urdu, where is your Prophet Muhammad now? Your Prophet, where is he now? So the Maulana thought for a moment, and he said, he is in Jannatul Firdaus with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is in blessed heaven with God Almighty. Out of that answer came the second question. He said, all right. You say he was in heaven. He's in heaven. Where was he when his grandson Hussein was martyred at Karbala? Where was he then? So again the Maulana thought for a moment, and he replied, he was still in Jannatul Firdaus with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in blessed heaven with God. Where was he then? So again the Maulana responds that he was in Jannatul Firdaus with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Out of that answer came the third question. He said, all right. If he was with his Allah in heaven when his grandson Hussein was martyred at Karbala, butchered at Karbala, didn't he ask his Allah for help? So there was a long pause. And the Reverend started beating his feet. He said, come on. Didn't he ask his Allah for help? If you have a big brother like this, and if somebody comes bullying me, haven't I got the right to say, brother, come, please, save me. Didn't he ask Allah for help? So after a long pause, the Maulana says, yes, he did. So what did he say? What did Allah say? Because we know he wasn't saved. And there was an inordinate pause. So the priest started beating his feet once more again. Come on. So the Maulana and the people felt the battle is gone. Battle is lost. Maulana ne humko mara diya. Khalas, he's finished that. Come on. So the Maulana said, Allah began to cry. So what? Allah cried? He said, yes, Allah cried. He said, I couldn't save my own son, Jesus. How can I save your grandson? And the battle was over. You see, it was a matching of the wits. It has nothing to do with truth or falsehood. See, you try to be clever, you try to catch him out, he catches you out. Catch as catch can. You know that you do in wrestling. There's all in wrestling, there's catch as catch can. This is intellectual catch as catch can. Catch the other fellow out, he's trying to catch you out. But since then, the Christians have evolved different systems. They have, sophisticated. They're more sophisticated now. So they come into this, the verse I quoted you from Surah Maryam. So they have tried to find fault with the Quran. They tried to find fault with the Quran. Previously, they were attacking Islam, the holy prophet of Islam. Attacked him, attacked Islam, attacked the Quran, and they found that they couldn't gather honey with that. So they changed their methods. They are master psychologists. They are in the field for at least 300 years. They are doing the job. They know psychology. So they tried different methods. Now they write books by the Orientalists. So they write, it says Muhammad was a sincere man, but a false prophet. See, he was a sincere man, but a false prophet. They would say that we find no deliberate deception on the part of Muhammad. Muhammad didn't deliberately deceive anybody. But poor man, he was illiterate. He didn't know what he was doing. So inadvertently he was deceiving the people. We find no deliberate deception on his part. Now they study the Quran. And they're taking us to task. They're forcing us to study the Quran. You know that? So from Surah Maryam, we read there, the birth of Jesus. After the Annunciation, she goes away to a remote place in the east, and when the child is born, she returns with the babe. As the Quran says in Surah Maryam, I think verse 23, it says, فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُهُ. At length, she brought the babe to her people, carrying him in her arms. قَالُوا يَا مَرْيَمُ لَقَدْ جِئْتِ شَيْئًا فَرِيًّا. They said, the Jews, they said, "Oh Mary, truly an amazing thing has thou brought. Ya ukhta Haruna, O sister of Harun, ma kana abuki imra'a sawin wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya." Says, your father was not a man of evil, nor thy mother a woman unchaste. They are insinuating, how is it that you brought this child without a husband? You know you are not married. Alleging that this child is illegitimate. Your father was a good man, your mother was a good woman, and now you bringing this child, being an unmarried girl. What is she to do? She knows that this was no ordinary child. So, as Allah says, فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ, but she pointed to the babe. Ask him. And by a miracle, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam spoke according to the Quranic tradition. He said, قَالَ إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ. So most certainly I am the servant of Allah. آتَانِيَ الْكِتَابِ. He has given me revelation. وَجَعَلْنِي نَبِيًّا. And he has made me, and so on and so forth. But now, the Christians are reading this. The Quran, they're reading and studying the Quran. And they are posing us questions, problems. See, I was delivering a lecture in Johannesburg. At the end of it, Christian missionary, during at question time, he says, Mr. Deedat, your Prophet Muhammad was illiterate, an ummi. I said, yes. But he said, not only that, he was ignorant. An ummi, an illiterate person, might be able to lead. God has given him self-knowledge, intelligence, and he can still lead, though he can't read and write. But an ignorant person will mislead people. So your Prophet, not only he was an ummi, but he was ignorant. So I'm asking, what are you talking about? What are you referring to? He said, look in the Quran, chapter 19. It says there, Ya ukhta Haruna, O sister of Harun. Who? To Maryam alayhi salam. He said, you see, your Prophet didn't know the difference between this Maryam, the mother of Jesus, and that Maryam, the sister of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam. They had a sister called Maryam. The Westerner calls her Miriam. In Hebrew it's the same. This Miriam and that Miriam are the same. In Arabic, this Maryam and that Maryam are the same. But for convenience, they call this one Mary, and the other one they read in the word Miriam. See, they anglicize this one Mary, but it's Miriam, Maryam, same. So you see, your Prophet didn't know the difference between this Maryam and that Maryam. He's confused. So he says, a man who doesn't know the difference. There's 1,300 years difference between that Maryam and this Maryam. And your Prophet didn't know. So poor man, he's misleading the people. He's thinking that this Maryam's father, was Harun. Probably she had a father called Harun, or a brother called Harun. He says, no, he's confused. See, now this is a new study they are doing now. You have to be prepared now. You have to, and I think, alhamdulillah, they are actually forcing us to read the Quran. Without these people, we are still carry away Khatmul Quran, chanting away, without knowing what we are chanting. They are now waking us up. Say, look, this is something wrong here. So now you have to put on your thinking cap, go to your alims and find out what is all this thing about. this any truth in what they're saying? So, you see, what are you going to say? Ask our learned men. They'll tell you, says, no. You see, this is a manner of trying to speak about the seriousness of the matter, that your father was a good man, your mother was a good woman, and you come from such a noble family, the family of Harun alayhi salam. See, because the imamat in the Bani Israel was a family tradition. Hazrat Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam were Levites, the priestly class, the imamat of the Bani Israel, the imams. Among such a family is Maryam alayhi salam born. So you come from such a noble ancestry. How is it now that you brought a child without a husband? Christian says, no, your prophet didn't know the difference. He's not prepared to listen. The Muslim will hear this and he accepts it. Yeah, no, I can see the point. I can see the logic, the reasoning. Why Ukhta Harun? Why sister of Harun? But the guy who's looking for trouble, he says, no, your prophet didn't know the difference. So I was confronted with this, and because of the type of reading that I'm doing, dealing with the Christians, talking to them, see, Allah Bari Ta'ala, from his ilm ladunni, he tickles you. You know, no Jibreel comes to you anymore. Anybody you come across who tells you he's hearing voices, send him, take him to a psychiatrist. I don't hear voices. But you know, Allah Bari Ta'ala in his wisdom, he gives it to you. Ilm ladunni is from his own presence. You get it. So I said, you know, the answer to your problem is in your own book. This problem you are creating, the answer is in your own book. I said, where? I said, the first book of the New Testament, the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 1, verse 1. I don't know whether you'll forget. Book 1, chapter 1, verse 1. The answer is there. To your problem about Ukhta Harun. He said, what does it say? I said, it says, this is the generation of Jesus Christ. The birth of Jesus, ancestry, his genealogy. The son of Abraham, the son of David. Right? He said, right. That's what he said. The son of Abraham, the son of David. So he is Abraham's father, son. And he is David's son. Abraham is his father. David is his father. And then in the book of Luke, this is Joseph the carpenter, who being the son of Joseph. Joseph is his father. In the book of Mark, he said God is his father. A guy who's got 4 fathers. What do you call him in your language, colloquial language? What do you call him? A man who's got 4 fathers. What do you call him? I'm asking him, what do you call a guy who's got 4 fathers? What do you call him? He said, no, it doesn't mean that. He said, what does it mean? He says Abraham is his father, David is his father, Joseph is his father, God is his father, he's got 4 fathers. Jesus Christ. So no, it doesn't mean that. What does it mean? He says, no, you see, he comes from the prophetic tradition of Abraham and the kingly family of David. He's the supposed son of Joseph the carpenter, but really he's the son of God. I said, you see, and that's what I'm telling you, that Ukhta Harun does not necessarily mean sister of Harun. If son of Abraham doesn't mean son of Abraham, then why should it say the brother of sister of Harun means sister of Harun? Now this is a different type of knowledge. You agree? And I know you don't find this in books. This is practical experience in Islam. And they have become more and more sophisticated. So, you see, the Christian missionaries, they have evolved new systems. We had a Professor Spencer in the University of Durban, Westwood. He was a missionary. But he was the head of the Department of Arabic and Islamics. A missionary, a Christian Englishman, he was the head of the Department of Islamic Studies and Arabic. And our children went to learn Arabic and Islamic under his tutelage. And he was having side swipes at the students. And the poor students can do nothing. They know nothing. Like what I was some 40 years ago, they are in a similar position. So they come complaining to me. See, you know, the professor said this, and the professor says that. I said, look, you know what you do? Get this professor over a cup of tea and call me. This is my job. But for some reason, Months went by and years went by, nothing happened. Then we had a Muslim professor coming, Professor Nadwi and Dr. Nadwi. They took charge of this department. I am telling them, get this guy for dinner and call me. He is my man. He is my meat. Call me. Say, look, that is where I say, call me for things like that. The things that I know, that I can, sparkle before you. See, I don't have to apologize for anything. That is how Ikrami Muslim would treat me like that. What I know is like, tell us, what have you got? Give it to us. What I have. What I haven't got, you're asking me, you're embarrassing me. So, it didn't work. And the man retired. Professor Spencer came to England. He's an Englishman. After some years, he returned to Durban on a holiday. And he comes into the arcade where I have my offices. Next door to me is my ex-secretary. He's got an Islamic bookshop. So he goes into the Islamic bookshop, to browse around to see what's going on there. So my secretary, ex-secretary, he recognizes the man. Professor Spencer, he says, Mr. Deedat is next door. Would you like to meet him? My secretary knew that we are yearning to meet him. So he said, yes. So my secretary, the ex-secretary, he's got heart trouble. Blood pressure, heart trouble, and he rushes. This man, Spencer, is also an old man, about my age. So he rushes and comes to me. He says, that professor, our Dusman ke aave roche. And he says, he understands our language. Don't talk our language. He says, but before he could finish, the man is there in the doorway. He said, good morning, professor. Good morning. Come in. Sit down. So he sat down. Professor Spencer. Sit down. So what will you have? Something hot or cold? He says, cold will be all right. It is a hot day. He says, get 2 orange juice. I tell my young man, get 2 orange juice. So while he's getting the orange juice, he says, there's no time to waste. Time is too precious. So I'm asking the professor point blank. I says, Professor, you are a master of Arabic and of Islamic. You were the head of our department. With all that knowledge of yours, how is it that you haven't accepted Islam yet? Of course, I know our brothers, learned brothers, they have more polite, refined, polished ways of dealing with things. I say, my brothers and sisters, please, you'll have to excuse me. I am a van driver, a lorry driver, a furniture salesman, and from that talking, I have talked myself into this position. Don't expect from me all those nice, polished and fluencies and all that. You wait, you'll get some other people coming by with all those qualifications. You listen to them. I am myself. So I said, right, why haven't you accepted Islam yet? You said, this guy is too crude. I said, look, what do you want me to do with him? Play marbles with him? So he said, have you got the Arabic translation done in the Arab country of Yusuf Ali? I said, I'm thinking, what's wrong with this fellow? I'm asking him, why haven't you accepted Islam? And he's asking about an Arabic translation of Yusuf Ali done in an Arab country. I said, look, Professor, all the Yusuf Ali's translations, whether done in India, Pakistan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Beirut, anywhere, they are all the same page for page. The only difference is, by photostatic process, small or big, or finer paper or thicker paper makes it